Oh, hey guys, it's Peterbilt Mike, and it is Tech Talk Tuesday. See how many people are going to join in. Oh, we got 7 people already, and we got a thumbs up. So, don't know if you got a coffee ready, but I got one in my Peterbilt mug, 80th anniversary mug. I don't know how old Peterbilt is now, but it's older than 80. But good stuff. But anyways, guys, today's episode of Tech Talk Tuesday is all about electric over air switches. And more predominantly, it's about your electric over air diff lock switches and interaxle switches. So if you did not know, as of, what was it? Well, I guess technically the 5 Series truck had electric over air switches, well, ever since its inception. The kicker is, as the electric over air switches evolved, it's evolved into where in the beginning it was just an electric switch running, an electric over air solenoid with the 5 Series, and the 5 Series has been out since 2013. Hi from Russia. Good evening in the UK. Make sure you get your sleep. But now they've evolved to where essentially the electric over air switches have turned into smart switches. Now with computerized computers and stuff, everything is getting smarter, or at least more technologically advanced. So this is some information that could save somebody's life. And I know that might be a bit dramatic. Maybe it'll be a thumbnail thing, but greetings from the Netherlands. But what am I talking about with electric over air switches? So I've got some new switches here, and basically the new switches in the new trucks, they're smart switches. So when you plug in a switch, you're going to have like this wire that you jump between all your switches, and you can see there's an input and an output. So basically you can plug all your switches into I think it's the CECU, and the switch will determine what it operates. So in this case, it's your interlock switch, and it's part of your smart wiring. So if you want to, make your interlock switch work, you just buy this switch, plug it in, and it works. Now the problem with this is now you've got the computer controlling when your interlock's in or out, which for the most part isn't an issue. And depending where you're at and what you're doing, if you're down in the lower 48, if you haul interstate, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Now, where it really gets critical for us up in the north is when you have a fault and it kicks your interlock out in an undesirable situation. And what I would call an undesirable situation is when you have tire chains on. And predominantly when you have a tri-drive truck or tractor with are the switches hard to work on the Peterbilt 389? No, they're not hard to work. Hello from Minnesota. Hi from the UK. How long you think of the Peterbilt 389? Like, how long do I think it's going to last? Probably to 2025 in all reality, but hopefully longer. But I don't know. They don't tell us that. So anyways, back to our electric over air switches. So the great thing with our electric over air switches with smart switches is the fact that you can program it to do whatever. Like if you've got a fleet and you don't want your guys running your interlock at say over 15 miles an hour, you can disable it. If you say you don't want them running their interlock in if they're, I don't know, got the PTO engaged, you can program that. And sorry about that. You can program it to do just about anything you want. But the problem is some of the things that the engineers have thought was a good idea is to program it so like if you have a wheel speed sensor fault, that it kicks your interlock out. Now, where this is extremely difficult is if you're in an off-highway application, say a tri-drive, or even a tandem, where you're coming down around switchbacks and or you've got tire chains on. So if you're coming down a hill, you're fully loaded, you've got your tire chains on, you've got your interlock in, which on a tri-drive, you should put your interlock in and leave it in just because. And then all of a sudden, you get an ABS sensor or a wheel speed sensor fault, and the computer says, oh, hey, we're going to turn your interlock off because we see a fault. Well, now you might have chains on one axle well, generally you have chains on one axle. I mean, sometimes you have them all chained up, but if you only have chains on one axle, you kick your interlock out on a tri-drive. Now all of a sudden your chains are doing nothing because, of course, now they're going to lock up, so it's going to go to the free spinning wheel, and now you've got a toboggan situation. So that is extremely dangerous, and this is something that we're working with Peterbilt to correct, and make it so even if it's just an electric over air switch, because electronics, yeah, we have issues with electronics, but everything's electronic now. So if it's just electronic, put power to it and it flips it on, it's not bad. Occasionally you might have an issue, but it's certainly not as dangerous as the computer just kicking it out when it wants to. So hi, Mike, the king of cabovers from a dark and cold England. Well, it's a beautiful sunny day. Beautiful and sunny, and minus 11 today, I think. But yeah, it's a beautiful day out there. And oh, you betcha, Devin. I try to help any way I can. But so here's something you can do if you're in a situation where you don't want the computer telling your diff locks, or more predominantly your interlock, because your diff locks aren't as critical, but certainly your inner axle is, especially on a tri-drive. Because you got to think about it. On a tri-drive truck, if your axle spacing is 55 inches, so you've got 110 inches. So what's that, like 11 feet, roughly 10 feet between your spread. So a lot can happen in 10 feet when you're going over rough ground in that. So let me grab a X-Acto knife. And I will show you what we do. Now, we don't do this to all the trucks, but on some of the trucks, if someone wishes to do it, and if you're the guy buying the switch and the package why is English so hard? And the package has been opened, don't worry. It was just Peterbilt Mike showing you guys what you can do. So you can, if you want, and I have done it before on trucks for customers. So this is your smart switch, plugs into all your other switches, and this is just a regular air switch. Oops. They look almost identical. They're a little bit different size. Oh, I guess I should hold it up so you guys can see it. But yeah, basically the same size. Biggest difference is this one's got the tail and this one takes air. So what we've done in the past on certain trucks where they're like a tri-drive and it's extremely critical that nothing kicks out. Like you want it, when you put air to that, you want that diff lock in. You don't want it coming out for no reason unless the driver chooses to. And the problem with this, somebody can kick it out, i.e. the computer, without the driver choosing to. And the guy behind the wheel should have ultimate control, not the computer. Because the computer can't say, oh, geez, it's minus 15 with freezing rain. And that's a little cold for freezing rain. But, say it's minus 5 and it's raining, or 0 degrees and freezing rain and black ice. So the computer doesn't know that. It's like, oh, it could be a bright sunny day for all the computer knows. So yeah, you can switch them out to air switches, manual air switches. It's a bit of monkeying around, but that's something we've done in the past for trucks. Oh my gosh, I'm a popular guy today, let me tell you. So I wanted to let you guys know about it. Now, the traditional Peterbilts, 389s, 367s, they have had manual air switches forever. But as of 2022 model year, they now have these switches. The front cover is a little bit different with the new switches. Actually, a lot of people really like the feel of the new switches over the old ones. So this is an old Peterbilt 3 Series air switch. Now, the one problem with these is these can wear off and eventually you wear a hole in it. But I mean, that's a lot of wear and tear. And there it is, your manual air switches. And here's the new series manual air switches. And that is your electric switches. So air switches are absolutely the best in my opinion. I've seen it, not on Peterbilts per se, because it's one of those things that we always go over and deal with, try to deal with it before the customer even gets it. Whereas with brand K, I actually had a customer once that almost went off the edge of a cliff because it didn't work. He had an ABS fault and it kicked his inner axle out. He had one axle chained up, and as soon as it did that, he was basically sliding down the hill. And I mean, for a computer to kick your inner axle out when you're chained up coming down a mountain, like that could kill a guy. Like you could slide off the end of a cliff. And that's why it's so critical that with inner axles and diff locks, it has to be controlled by the driver, not the computer. If any engineers from PACCAR or any of the other OEMs are listening to me right now, you got to let the driver have ultimate control of your diff lockers. So, because it could save their life one day, or you could seriously hurt someone one day if you let the computer kick it out. So, and here's another example of a smart switch. And I mean, you know, the cool thing with the smart switches, like say you want to add accessory lights and you just want to plug it in, you can just buy the switch, plug it in, and that's what they're going to operate. You know, if you've got a truck that doesn't have a certain option, you should be able to buy the switch for that option, plug it in, and it'll work. And then, you know, your tech can tie into it at another spot. But yeah, so that's my opinion of the new smart switches and converting them to, where is it? Manual air switches, predominantly your inner axle. And here in Prince George, we have changed a lot because it's just, yeah, I don't want someone going off of a cliff because, you know, we didn't do that. So did we do it to all of them? No. If you're a tandem highway truck or whatever, it's completely not necessary. It's a completely different animal. But certainly with the tri-drives, you know, or if you're logging, you know, I haven't done a lot of tandems honestly lately for logging. It's tri-drive country up here, but changing it to manual, you know, the only downside is you got one switch that does look a little bit different. And I'm really hoping that PACCAR will see that we need to have a non-computer version of an interlock because it could save someone's life one day. So, so yeah, that's all I had today. Just wanted to talk to you about the electric over air switches, converting to manual switches and smart switches. And now basically all PACCAR models will have that. The 3 Series, 389, 367, they've all got electric over air switches now. So if you want a 389 or a 367 to avoid the electronic dash and all that, it's the same as a 5 Series. So, and the beauty of the 5 Series is it was designed for all this stuff where the 3 Series really wasn't. It's, you know, it's been adapted. And that's where I think the digital dash actually looks better in a 5 Series than a 3 Series. Certainly your steering wheel adjustment works better as far as being able to see all the gauges, but I like it. I like the new switches, how they look, how they feel. It's just, you know, I don't like a computer saying when and when not you can have your inner axle in, because the driver should have 100% control over that. So, but yeah, they can be programmed, and it's kind of crazy. Who would ever thought you could program a switch? But yeah, technology, eh? Huh? What do? Never thought I'd be packing a cell phone that I could search the internet and take pictures and chat with my buddies and post to YouTube to millions of people around the world. Not that there's millions of people watching right now. There's only 62, and thank you for the 60-second person for jumping on. But anyways, you guys got any questions? Are they doing away with the 389 for sure? Been hearing a lot of rumors. Eventually, they will be doing away with the 389. It's the greenhouse gas rules now. Right now, it's all speculation. I mean, it's that same old story with, you know, with an OEM. Their lips are sealed. No one's going to tell us. The reality is yes, eventually they're going to go away. Just like the 359 went away, the 379 went away. The 389's days are certainly numbered. Now, they are, well, apparently there is a 589 out there that they're developing, so it'll have the new wide cab. You know, some of the key things that the DSMs are not, well, the head of all the dealer groups or whatever said is it's got to have an aluminum hood, it's got to have outside air breathers, it's got to have a traditional look. So how they pull that off, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Because I mean, the 389 is like, it's iconic, just like the 359 and the 379. So a 589, they got a pretty big pair of boots to fill with a 589. But you know what? It's progress. Whether we like it or not, things are going to change. So what the rumblings that I have heard, or what has been rumored, now the next emissions change is for 2025. I believe that's for, which would be I think it's 2024. Well, no, 2025, which would probably be 2026 model year. So, and we're at 2023 model year. So probably in 3 years, I'm going to guess all of our traditional models will be gone. Well, actually, I'm going to guess because I don't know for sure. Now, it's been rumored, because with the new greenhouse gas rules and all this, that if you have a truck that doesn't score well, you're going to have to pay fines if you have too many of them or whatever. So I'm hoping, and this is just speculation, that they keep the 389 around and have it as either a vocational truck, or it'll be like a limited edition to where if you want one, it's really expensive. My guess is they'll go the price ways as to if you want a 389, it'll be really expensive. Or you know what? If the 589 comes out, and they'll probably axe it all together, and that's just unfortunately the reality of it. But my guess is model year 2026 for the 389. My guess for the 367 in the next couple of years. With all this COVID stuff, I doubt they would do it next year because the backlog of orders. And the other thing you got to remember is part supply issues. So if they're, say, having troubles getting, well, actually, this is in all the trucks, but if they're, say, having troubles getting certain components for a 5 Series, but they can get it for a 3 Series, you can bet your bottom dollar that PACCAR is going to want to keep building it because, let's face it, they're here to make money. The one benefit that the 3 Series cab has over the 5 Series is it's built by human hands. So, back in the day when you wanted to increase production of a 3 Series truck, 389, 367, you just hire more people. And they build the cabs, they're all bolted together, huck bolts. And so you could hire more people, build more cabs. The problem with robots, you can't hire more robots. They've got the maximum capacity of cabs they can make, and that's it. Now I'm sure there's, they probably say, okay, well, we're going to, make the robots so they can, say, make 280 or 300 cabs a day, and can they keep up? But yeah, so let's see. Let's look at some comments here. Is Cummins X15 better than the PACCAR and reliable? Yes and no, depending on where you're at and what you do. The thing that I like about Cummins over the PACCAR is anybody can work on them. And up here in the north, you don't have dealers on every street corner. So, if you go to a town and there's only an international dealer, or there's only a Western Star dealer, or Volvo, Mack, whatever, they're also a Cummins dealer, because Cummins is a global engine. So your odds of getting repair are a lot better. Whereas the PACCAR engine, you've only got Peterbilt and Kenworth. So with that respect, Cummins is better. The other way Cummins is better is you can get high performance and high torque. So like up here, we all run 565, 2050 torque. If you've ever looked at my website in the past, or what I do, virtually all my trucks are 2050 torque. Well, the PACCAR is maxed out at 510, 1850. And unfortunately, if you're hauling 9 axles and you're 72,000 kilograms, that's just not enough meat for your potatoes, if you know what I mean. You need some cojones. 72,000 kgs is a lot. You're like 160,000 pounds. So if you're going to be pulling 160,000 pounds, 1850, I mean, yeah, you can do it. Back in the day, you hauled big weights with low power all the time. But the problem is, today's driver and all the rest of it, if there's an option for a big horsepower engine, why would you want to go back in time to like a 250 Cummins where you're doing 15 miles an hour to pack the big weight? So that's my thoughts on that. You've had issues getting rebuild kits for Cat C15 here. We have as well. One of our customers just rebuilt his C15, and I think we were like 6 weeks waiting for a platinum kit because he was going to do it right. You know, it wasn't cheap to do, but the beauty of having it done at a dealer, getting a platinum kit, replacing any of the parts that it needed, is he's got full warranty on that engine now. And you know what? The Cat C15 is hands down one of the best, if not the best. I mean, you know, there's an argument to be had about what the best engine is for longevity in that. And, you know, back in the day, the N14 and certainly the Series 60, 460 horses, I saw lots of engines with 32, 33, 34,000 hours without a rebuild. But the kickers are also lower horsepower. So, you know, there's quite, and even the C15s, like a 550 cat, it's nothing like the new X15. So, I would love them. Yeah. Sorry. Robert asks, is Peterbilt thinking about redesigning the cab, maybe adding 5-6 inches to the day cab or something? Somebody 6 feet tall is not up against the back wall. I sure hope so. And, you know, the extended cab Peterbilt in a day cab in a 3 Series is hands down the best of anyone with an extended cab in the Peterbilt. So it's something that I've certainly pushed Peterbilt Motors to continue our extended day cab, because the 5 Series, your seating position is certainly better. Like your feet are more out in front of you, which is good. But they just, like tall guys, we need that room to stretch out. And nobody wants to have their back right up against the wall. And the other nice thing is having that storage, you know, like in the Peterbilt extended cab on a 3 Series, you've got 10 inches behind your seat and you can store, you know, tools, spill kits, your lunchbox, spare parts, you know, whatever, briefcase, paperwork, or if you've got sensitive electronical, is electronical a word? I don't think so. If you've got sensitive equipment that you want inside and not mounted outside, you can mount it in there and you don't have to have a sleeper to do it. So, hey, Paul Arnett from Kentucky, thanks for watching. Highlands of Scotland, right on. Actually, well, I'm not going to try and do a Scottish accent because I'm not very good at that. Although it's kind of fun to, you know, try accents from around the world. But is the XF engine the same DAF have here? Yes, the MX engine is the same as the DAF engine there, because actually the MX came from Europe. So that's where it originated and that's where we got it from. They're actually built, I think, down in, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they're built in Tennessee. I could be wrong. I should know this, but I can't, you know, I don't remember everything. So thanks. I love speccing beautiful trucks. So it's what we do up here, you know. It's not, well, I mean, we do simple plain ones too, but the custom ones are so much fun. Is the Cummins X15 American versus PACCAR MX-13 is European engine, aka DAF? Well, no, actually the MX-13 is built in the good old US of A. So to say a PACCAR isn't a US engine would be wrong. I mean, it was started in Europe and brought over, which is why it has a rear gear train for, guess what? Cabovers. Ha! Sorry, I snorted there. But yeah, the rear gear train on an MX is because it came from Europe, and in Europe they're all cabovers. So it's a bit of a pain in the butt if you got to pull the cam in a conventional truck, because you got to pull the engine out to pull the cam because it's reversed and there's a cab in the way. But yeah, but they are American made, hand built in the US of A. I don't know where all the parts come from. I'm sure they make them, some of them in the US, or maybe import some. I don't know. But I highly dislike the electric over air. Our International Lone Star has it, and right now the PDI, probably PDL power divider, I'm guessing, is not working for who knows what reason, which sucks because we run to Prince George and Kitimat, you know, and that's bupkis. And that's where I say, I don't know if International Lone Stars have it, and you know, I'm not a big fan of the Lone Star, although it's got a kind of a unique look. Tell them if they can't fix it, put a manual switch in. Problem solved. Just hook some airlines, run them down the frame. Yeah. Chesterfield, New Hampshire, right on. Thanks for watching. How many Peterbilt 3 Series do you order with Cummins X15 versus PACCAR? Pretty much 99.9 to 0.1. Basically, yeah, everything I order 3 Series is Cummins, and it's pretty much all 565 horsepower, 2050 torque. You know, our southern branches will quite often do 565 or 600 horsepower with 1850 torque. But traditionally in Prince George, I've always done 2050 torque, not necessarily 600. Like the difference between a 600 and a 565 is negligible. And in actual fact, a 600 burns more fuel, and you only get the 600 horse at 1850, 1800 or 1850 RPM. So that means your truck has to be screaming to get your 600 horse. And who drives like that? Well, I mean, I'm sure some people, well, I kind of drive like that at times, but I don't like, well, no, it's not a good spot to be. Let's put it that way. You're not going to be screaming along at 1850, and it's just going to burn more fuel. And on a 600, I'm going to try and simulate a torque curve, which, yeah, bear with me. But on a 605, to get that 605 horsepower, your torque curve kind of goes up, and then it's going to like kind of peak up at your 1800, and then it's going to drop off. Whereas on a 565, it kind of comes up, and it comes up earlier. I believe it's around 1600 RPM, and then it kind of tables off before it drops. You know, so that's a really poor example of me exercising a torque curve. But that's what I like about the 565. So the 565, you know, the 565 horse comes on sooner, and then it tables off and then drops. Whereas a 605, it kind of ramps up, you know, to get to your 605, and then it just drops again. So you really don't get to, you don't get that 600 horse. It's not like an old signature 600 where, you know, you got 610 horse at the flywheel. So, gotcha. Gosh, Josh Bulldog, Mike Power Divider Lock. Gotcha. What else we got here? Some buddies running MX-15 that have been deleted, and they turned out to be pretty good engines. And yeah, absolutely. I love the PACCAR MX for longevity, and you know, you get rid of the after treatment stuff, and there's really not a lot of issues. The MX-13 is like a long life engine. It's got a B10 life, so they expect it to reach 1 million miles. And I'm not saying you should go out and delete your trucks, but and that goes with any of them. I mean, DPF issues, unfortunately, that happen with everything. And the problem with deleting your truck is, depending where you're at, you may not be able to get it inspected. Like here, we don't have to test to see if it works, but if you've got components missing, if there's components missing, like your DEF tank, your EGR cooler, whatever, then it's going to fail MVI, motor vehicle inspection. But if it's on there, we don't see if it works. I mean, if your stacks are black on the inside, it's a pretty good indication, but we don't test for it, so it passes MBI. Might be deleted. I don't know. Who am I to say? So yeah, but that's a tricky one. And the good thing is, you know, now that it's been out for a while, shops are getting better and better at managing it and fixing it. I would say the biggest problem with all this stuff is these right here, wires. You know, with fly-by-wire and digital and, you know, smart switches and running, you know, different voltages, you know, because how these work is you got a different signal going down the wire that tells what it is. Well, you know, if you get a break in your wire and corrosion, it's going to change things, you know. And that's the problem. It's great if you've got a computer sitting in your office at home. Not so great if your computer's, you know, covered in salt and sand, and it's -30, and then it warms up to +2, and then it's raining, and then it's freezing again. And, you know, when you get the rapid temperature changes, and it's hard on wires, and they're sitting there vibrating, rubbing on things. So that is an issue. So get rid of that. They were great. Friggin' MX is an awesome engine, but it still maxes out at 510 horsepower, 1850 torque. So my request to PACCAR, get us a big block. Give me a 15-liter with 2050 torque and 600 horse. You know, yeah, you're not going to sell 4 billion of them, and they're not going to be the most fuel efficient. But at the end of the day, no matter what happens with the EPA, you still need to move your heavy equipment. You know, how are we going to move our heavy equipment? Not all trucks are van trucks cruising down the interstate, you know, full aero hauling 20,000 pounds or 80,000 pounds of Amazon packages. You know, we got rock trucks, we got bridges to move, we got like logs to haul, we got heavy weights, super reloads of lumber. We need some cojones for that. So So they got to remember that not one thing fixes all. You know, you don't buy a Chevy half ton if if you want to go haul a Bobcat, you buy a 1 ton. So you need a different trucks for different jobs. So, and you guys know that. I mean, you guys are right there in the thick and thin of it. So, what speed is best? 10 versus 13 versus 18. Depends where you're at and what you're doing, what your weights are and what you prefer. Certainly if you got big weights, 18 speed all the way. If you're a little bit lighter weights or you're doing lots of town work, 10 speed is fine because there's no sense splitting a whole bunch. Because I mean, splitting every gear when you have a whole bunch of weight on is one thing, but splitting gears when you're don't have the weight, like what's the point? So, it really depends on application, and that is the kicker. But up here, basically everything I sell is either an 18 speed or it's an automatic. We've got some new test trucks coming in with the TX18, and yeah, we'll see how it does. That's basically going to be the replacement for the Ultra Shift, and the Ultra Shift's been a fantastic transmission, but you know what? Things are changing. We've got the Endurance. The Endurance been doing a great job, and yeah, and it's just technology, man. So technology, man. Need a transmission that's more techy. Keep stubby original N14 with the 13 speed. It's a workhorse. That is correct. I think I'm going to put 13 speed in stubby. I've got that 18 speed, but I think that's going to go in K2 because, K2 is going to be a workhorse. I can't wait to get an engine for him. I'd really like to put a Signature 600 in it now that I think about it, because Signature 600 is a bad arse engine, big power. But it's going to depend on price and what I find too. So Chad Reynolds, I'd say the Cummins has proven itself in the logging industry. Can't get much tougher to work with those tri-drive trucks do daily. That is for sure. And the X15 has been doing a fantastic job. So certainly no complaints about the X15. And 600 brake horsepower, that's absolutely fantastic. And I'm segueing here a little bit, but here's something to consider. Like if you've got say a Cummins 500 horse efficiency versus a 500 productivity, the biggest difference between those two engines is your maximum RPM. So a 500 horse efficiency series, your maximum RPM is 1700, and on an productivity, it's 1900. So, Cummins has 600 brake horsepower, but if you've got a 500 efficiency and it'll only let you go to 1700, yeah, you're going to be disappointed with that. So that's something to consider if you're speccing a truck, and certainly work with your salesman, and hopefully he's smart enough to know the difference, because, it's the same engine, but productivity versus efficiency series, that 200 RPM, depending on what you're doing, can make all the difference in the world. So 500 efficiencies engines are great, and the warranties on them fantastic. You can get warranty up to 6 years now on those things, and 6 years, 1.2 million kilometers. I think it's like 600,000 miles, but just absolutely fantastic. So, and you can get Encore warranty. Now that's something that I'm dealing with. A used MX that I have right now is not having an Encore warranty on it, but so I got to go talk to some people about that, and maybe we'll go with like a Premium 2000, which is basically like an insurance policy, I guess, not really an extended warranty. So, I don't think I think manual transmissions are around for a while, but because Jason Buck asked, do you think manual transmissions will become a thing of the past? Not in my neck of the woods. Certainly on highway, yeah, I think they probably will be. What's the timeline like? I don't know. I think they're talking like 10, 15 years, electric trucks making more of a yeah, I can't see in 10 years electric trucks, a hybrid truck where it's an engine and electric maybe, but so eventually manual transmissions will probably go out, but I think they're around for a long time yet. And it's interesting. Manual transmissions, drum brakes have not changed much in 40 years, 30 years. We still have them. We still order them every day. Disc brakes are fantastic. But it's interesting that it hasn't made a huge shift. So, what's your thoughts on push button Ultra Shift? It has its place. I'll leave it at that. The Ultra Shift definitely has its place, but it's not for everybody. And you have to learn to drive the transmission to make it do what you want to do. Like if you think you're just going to buy an Ultra Shift and get it and put it in drive, and you're going to be disappointed. But if you get it with the idea that you're going to learn how to drive it and make it do the things you want, it's just fine. But I don't order them for stock, so I guess I'll let that speak for me. Let's see what else. Mike, do you hear on the Denton Peterbilt is doing since the chip shortage? The chip shortage is doing better, but now we've got every other type of shortage, like shortage of steel, and actually recently they ran out of some parts for the MX engine. So I had to change a couple trucks to Cummins, which didn't break my heart just because I had lots of orders for Cummins. And that's something else to say. Like if any of you guys are looking at, if you've got a truck on order, looking at a truck on order, or if you're on a waiting list, work with your local salesman and be nice to him. And I say that because, it's like, I've got a list here. Where's my list? I can show you guys. I got a list. I got lists of all my trucks for the quarters. At the very end, I've got a scratch pad with people that are on my waiting list. But I'll tell you right now, if someone's a real cornhole and a jerk, just because you're higher up on the list doesn't mean you're going to get a truck. So I would say most local dealers are going to certainly look after their good customers, their bread and butter, the guys that have dealt with you for years. And unfortunately conquest customers and new customers, they're always bugging us in the sales world, like, oh, you got to get more conquest customers. You got to do this, you got to do that. And, but at the end of the day, it's tough out there. We only have so many trucks. So if you're looking at getting a truck, you know what? Be nice to your local sales rep. Don't be a jerk. Odds are the price is going to be the price. It's going to be high compared to what it was. But the reality is, if you can get a truck, that is winning right now. So getting a chassis is winning. Thinking you're going to throw and this could be for fleets of 1,000 trucks or 100 trucks or 20 trucks or 10 trucks. If you're a bully and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do this. If you don't do that, they're going to go, sorry, we don't have any trucks available. Or if you're a nice guy, go, oh man, whatever you can do, Mike, get me a truck, if you can, and put me on the list and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh, hey, I got an extra truck. Joe Blow, do you want to pull the trigger? Yeah, I do. So yeah, that's just some friendly advice. Be nice to your salesman. You know what? We can go back to squabbling over price and muscling your sales guy by threatening another day, but you can't really threaten sales guys right now because it's like, well, I can't do anything anyways. I was going to order 4 trucks and I'm going to cancel them. Well, guess what? I can't get you 4 trucks anyway. So, and truly, that is the hardest part right now. Customer calling you up and wanting to order and you can't. But anyways, I know I'm segueing. I just wanted to do this tech talk on the electric over air switches because yes, it could save someone's life. But we're getting it figured out here in Prince George. We've got bug fixes. We know the tricks to make it work. I just want the factories and that to know what we're dealing with so we have some options. Do I think that PACCAR is going to put manual switches in? No, I think that ship has sailed. But I'd certainly like the option for heavy haul or whatever. I would, you know what, PACCAR, please let us have manual diff lock switches. Let the driver control your diff locks. And in the meantime, you know what, we'll do what we have to do to make it work so our customers are safe, because that's the number one thing. Make a product that works and keep your customers safe and make money, because at the end of the day, that's what the whole goal is to go to work, haul some freight, haul some logs, haul some sticks, haul some equipment, haul some bridges, whatever it is, and make money. And if we got to change our electric over air switches to, well, actually, this is a smart switch, I should say, not just an electric over air. If we have to change a smart switch to, oh, that's a smart switch too, to a manual air switch, that's what we're going to do. So anyways, guys, it's been a slice. It's been 39 minutes now, 100 of y'all on now. So that's fantastic. What are some questions? Do you guys have any questions? Have a Detroit D12 automated transmission, the new Star. Always seems like it's in the wrong gear. Interesting. I don't know much about the the Detroit transmission. But I know certainly Daimler is really pushing their automated and proprietary stuff, because now it's all about proprietary, where you don't have the options like you used to. It's if you buy a Western Star or a Freightliner, I guess you get Western Star or Daimler components. But Mike, what's your another truck other than Peterbilt? What's your other truck? Well, I don't know. Do I have a favorite truck other than Peterbilt? Kenworth CABOVER, of course. Peterbilt just has service here, no sales. Yeah, that's a stinker. Well, actually, that's not a bad thing, because if you've got Peterbilt service and no sales, you can go buy a Peterbilt anywhere. But having the service is important. So that's better than having sales and no service. Air switch period, if you're going downhill in gear, should you lose power, keeping in gear, blah, blah, compressor to pump air, no need for electricity. Yes, the kicker is, and that's the whole thing about having air switches for your inner axle. Used to sell here, if I remember correctly. Hello from Sweden. Hey, Ralph from Sweden. Thanks for tuning in. Garrett, Threadgill. Do BC bridge laws prohibit use of drop axles on trucks like in the States? Don't see them versus tri-drive. Yeah, we don't. They don't allow drop axles here in BC. They don't want any of that in control of the driver. So you can have another axle, but it's got to be down all the time. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. They've now got lift axles on trailers, just not on trucks. So lift axles on trailers, and they have to have the load sensing valve. So as soon as the load goes on it, it drops the axle. But yeah, the bridge laws don't allow for drop axles on the actual truck itself. And generally on highway, tri-drives, tri-drives are inefficient because you've got that third driving axle that eats up power. So on highway, a tandem is still your best option. But what else do we got here? Thanks, Mike. Love the channel. Thanks, Trucker Greg. Very much appreciated. And I gotta say, I really appreciate you guys. 160 tuned in right now, and it's really appreciated, and what it's all about here. So, Pete, g'day from Melbourne, Australia. It's 5:57 Wednesday the 2nd here. How is Wednesday the 2nd? And I think it's so cool because picking around this time, it's early in the morning tomorrow in Australia. It's late in Scotland. Notice I had to say Scotland, and in the UK. Yeah, it's like lunchtime back east, I guess, in North America. But and what time is it here? It's 11 o'clock now. My phone stopped ringing, but I do have some people to call back. So, but Kenworth does have both sales and service here. Oh, that's nice. Support the Freedom Convoy. Yeah, I mean, I support freedom, man. I almost sounded like a hippie there. I support freedom, man. Peace. Who would ever thought that a bunch of truckers would be like the Freedom Rally? Not a bunch of Volkswagen buses, people smoking pot, and peace, man, flower power. And now in 2022, a Freedom Rally is a bunch of truckers wearing cowboy boots, listening to country music, and just some good old boys. So, yeah, you know what? I support him. I mean, I don't want to get political. I'm not. I also think there's some restrictions are like to go into the US to haul, you can't have a criminal record. So having to be vaccinated, to me, the vaccination is no big deal. I got mine, but to me, it's not about vaxxed or unvaxxed. It's just about, anyways, I'm not getting political, but yeah, love it. Nothing better than a convoy, unless it's CABOVER in a convoy. CABOVER repeat with a reefer on and a Kenworth hauling logs. Actually, that'd be really cool if in the convoy they had a CABOVER Pete and then a Kenworth hauling logs behind it, and and then a Mac, kind of like the real movie Convoy. It's night here already in Spain. Thanks for watching, Fernando. John will be fine. 20. I don't know what that means. Sad face. Greetings from Belgium. Thanks for watching, Vincent. Love your channel. Thanks for the laughs. Well, thank you. I don't try to make light of things. Let's face it. Sometimes I can be a dork, but hey, it's who I am. So, and I put on a little weight. I'm thinking I should, and this camera angle is not, let's just face it. Face it. It's not my best angle because you know what? I got a little bit. I had sushi last night. Tucker wanted sushi, so we ordered sushi, and I was pretty full this morning. And you think that sushi could be like, like a diet food? I don't think it is. No, I think, but ironic when you have lots of rice. I mean, anyway, anyways, getting segued. So, anyways, guys, I should probably let you go. I should probably get back to work because don't tell the boss. But I'm doing this on company time. Well, actually, technically, I could say it's my lunchtime, but. And you know what? Peterbilt Pacific that I work for, absolutely fantastic company. They support Peterbilt Mike in the channel. They're certainly, appreciate the information we do. And, just a great company to work for. It's been 10 years. And our HR, no, she's not HR. What is she? Abby from head office wants to do a little thing on me, put it on LinkedIn because it's my 10-year anniversary next week. So that's pretty cool. I don't know what to say that. I'm going to have to pick a picture where I'm less fat, but I really got to lose some weight just to be healthy. But sitting on your ass all day, and I just said ass. Can I say ass? I guess I just did say ass. So that could be a donkey. Maybe I'm referencing a donkey. Yeah. So anyways, guys, I'm going to quit bugging you and jammering on. And thank you for tuning in. And if you have smart switches, there's a couple things you can do in closing. You can get them to put in just a regular on-off switch, and then it's not programmed to operate your diff locks. And they could probably pop this plastic cover off to swap it over. So you could just use a regular smart switch that's just on-off. Spare switch, call it, change the cover, diff locks work. Well, actually, I guess it wouldn't be. Well, you'd have to you'd have to wire it to your diff locks. So that's one way of getting around it, so that your computer doesn't say, "Well, I think your diff lock should come out because I saw a light on," or put in an air switch, run some airlines, go old school, cool. But yeah, there we got it. That's my solution. You know what? That's what we do here in Prince George. I was going to say give a hard job to a lazy man because they'll find a way to make it easy, but I don't think that's quite the way it goes. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. It's been 47 minutes. Going to let you go. If you enjoyed this live tech talk, give it a thumbs up, write a comment, and yeah, we'll do more. And I'm going to try and figure out how to get my other camera to work with my computer so I got better video and maybe a view from like this, so you don't have to see my chicken chin. And yeah, I just really appreciate you guys hanging around. And if you like the lives on Tuesday, we'll continue it, and I'll just figure out more tech talks. And maybe if I can't think of anything tech talky, we'll just BS about trucks and cabovers and cool stuff like that. So anyways, guys, that's it for Peterbilt Mike signing off. Better get back to work because customer wants to take delivery of his 389 with 78-inch bunk. And remember, there's only one king, and that's Peterbilt 389. And that's truly who the king is. It ain't me. No, I'm like servant to the king. I'm like the court jester. But yeah, if you want, go check out Shop Peterbilt Mike for a little bit of merch, and got some t-shirts coming out, and hopefully I start selling some because it ain't making much money. It's costing, but that's okay. It is what it is. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later. Cheers. And we're going to end the stream in 3. Oh, quick question. I'm restoring a 74 352 Mike. Can you send me someone who can find original specs? Unfortunately, the only way to get original specs on your truck is the dealer that sold it. Anyone can log into it. Like if you have the serial number, if it's, I can't remember what year, you should be able to bring up the specs on Web ECAT. And any Peterbilt dealer can do that. So go to a local Peterbilt dealer with your signature. They can put your signature. Gosh, what an idiot I am sometimes. With your serial number, not your signature. They can't look up anything with your signature. Although you can sell you a new truck with a signature. But your serial number. Take your serial number. Go to a Peterbilt dealer. They'll punch it in. And they'll pump it up on Web ECAT, and they can tell you whatever's in there. So unfortunately, you can't build a spec sheet. And, you really should be able to download the spec sheet. Like if a guy buys a truck in Toronto, I can look it up on Web ECAT. I can tell you all the components are in the truck, but I can't download a spec sheet. You can actually do frame layouts, like the frame layout of the truck. So that's cool, but maybe that's a thing for another Tech Talk Tuesday. But yeah, if you're looking at a used truck, and yeah, WebECAT, it's what the parts guys look up parts with. Not sure if a 74 is too old for that, though. A 74 may not come up on WebECAT, so I'm not sure about that, because that was back in the day of microfiche and stuff like that. But anyways, stay safe, guys. Thank you very much. Really appreciate y'all. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. Thanks, guys. See you well, I was going to say see you tomorrow, but I don't really have anything for tomorrow. Maybe Thursday. I know I was going to do it Friday, but I'm thinking maybe Thursday. You know, Twin Sticks is up on Thursday. I'll just ride his coattails maybe. And Thursday's a nice day. You know, it's not quite Friday, not a lot of pressure. Friday's always a busy day. So yeah, Thursday. Because I do a walk around on this sick 389 I got out front. So I'm going to do a new truck walk around. And then I'll get back to working on the trucks. Because I did kind of work on the truck on the weekend, but I didn't record anything, because I didn't do that much. I actually did a Mike's Garage because I finished putting my kill mat in, because see, this is the problem. I get talking and I just don't know when to stop. I was doing a Mike's Garage video with the kill mat, and then I was like, oh, for Mike's Garage, because I wanted to take my old Corvette out and I just wanted to get it out and listen to it run. And then I was going to move Stubby out of the shop. And then I looked and I had the seats of the motorhome out, and I got parts all over the back of Stubby. And I'm like, what the frick am I going to do? And I'm like, I got to get the motorhome back together. So, and here's a bad on me. Let's call this bonus finish. We ended the video 5 minutes ago. Now this is bonus. I got to get stuff finished. Like, I don't like having trucks half done. And like Kenny, I've got the dash ripped open on them still. So I need to finish JB welding it together. And I do know where, like in town here, there's a CABOVER that I'm gonna take the dash out of to have as a spare. But Kenny's licensed, so I can drive him. So I want to keep him so I can drive him. I got to check the Jake heads on him, because his Jake isn't working right, and I think I buggered it, you know, when I went out and drove it with no oil in it. So I got to look at that. But because Kenny's licensed, you know what? I can drive him anytime. I'm going to get back to driving him, especially because it's cold out today. I should have drove him today, but Piper's taking her driver's test. So next week again to try. So I've got her driving, so I can't drive the CABOVER because she doesn't want to try taking her test on the CABOVER. I know. I'm like, Tucker today driving to school. He's like, you're not going to take us to school in the CABOVER, are you? I'm like, why not? And he's like, because I don't like climbing in and out of it. Can you believe that? A 15-year-old boy that doesn't like climbing in and out of a CABOVER, like, gosh, is even my kid. He's taller than me now, too. So it's crazy. Australian day cabs are built for 5'6" people. Us 6-footers, it's like being in a sardine tin. I have to agree, because I'm 6 foot. And, well, I've never been in an Australian truck. But I was looking at a K200. And I know I'm all over the map here right now, guys. But I was looking at a K200. And right now the Canadian dollar is worth like 1.12 Australian dollar. And I was thinking, how cool would it be for Peterbilt Mike to get a K200? Be really cool. But K200s are a little more money. There is and that I got to find out about how old to import something. There was like a 2000 or a 2002 K100 Australian version for 44,000 with a 600. Or no, it wasn't a comment. Well, it was a signature series, but it was I think it was a 535 horse or something like that. And I was like, oh, that would be cool to import it. But there's probably an age limit for right-hand drive. So it's probably got to be like 20 years old or something like that. So that's something I was thinking about, just because it's cool. You know, Andrew'd be like, why do you want to import a truck from Australia when we have lots here? And it's like, because it's cool, honey. I think a DAF truck would be cool too in Canada. Because you just don't see them. It'd be a talking piece. But yeah, so I got to get things back together. I gotta get my arson gear and get Low and Slow's cab back together, and the windshield in. I was looking at welders yesterday, yeah, Mel, my boss, he was going to lend me his wire feed, so that's probably what I'll do. But he was sick last week, so I couldn't have it on the weekend. And I got a little bit of tin and some metal to glue that one piece in. And I don't know if you guys saw in another video, but my primer that I used on the windshield frame, it's the wrong kind of primer for automotive. So now I have to sandblast it all off to redo it. So we're going to do that. But I got to get it together because K2, I want to get K2 in the shop, because the kicker is You know, if you've watched DeBoss Garage, I don't know if you guys have seen that. He's got a K100 project, and I love what he's doing with the cab. Like, it's at a body shop. I mean, granted, there's things that he's doing that I don't agree with. Like, he's changing the frame, which I think is cool. But if you look at some of the videos of the sandblast and paint job, it's not very good. And like the gusset plates for your torque arms, he didn't take them off, and you can see there's some rust jacking in there, and that just, it bugs me. Is it wrong to say that? I mean, Lord knows I'm not perfect, and he does a great job, great fabricator. But yeah, if you're gonna sandblast and paint a frame and you got rust jacking in there, like, just cut the bolts off, take it off, paint it, bolt it back together again. So yeah, K2, I want to do like a primo job, because right now, you know, Low and Slow is a work truck. It's a deck truck. You know, fixing the windshield, you got to do that because it was a water leak. You know, I got to get the heater working. I need to do the heater already worked, but the thermostat I don't think was working because it didn't warm up fast enough. So we got to do that because it's a work truck. It's a deck truck, so we can haul stuff. So Low and Slow, we don't have to do anything to his chassis, his frame, his engine. It's great. Sounds bad arse, I got to tell you. So yeah, once Low and Slow's front end is done. Oh, and I'm going to get some new aluminum wheels for the front too. I'm just going to go buy them, but not until I'm driving them. But because I don't want them to get all salty and yucky in this weather here. So yeah, Low and Slow, kick his butt out, get him finished, get the front end finished, kick his butt out the door, and then I can get K2 in, because K2, I want to strip the back of the frame off, sandblast it all, like now that the cab's tipped up, and that's the one I want to go right through, and I want to get an engine that's a good engine. We're not taking the engine out of Kenny because the engine in Kenny is not great. You guys saw the video, where I polished the cam with a die grinder. That's not a good working truck engine. I mean, for what I'm doing, bombing around town, playing with them, it's perfectly fine. Probably lasts forever. But yeah, I'm not putting that engine in K2. So we got to find an engine for him. It's either going to be another 440 Cummins, or it's going to be a Cat, or it's going to be Cummins, and we're going to put the 18 speed in it. And we're going to make him a badass show truck. Well, try to as best as I can. So anyways, guys, sorry I rambled on. Look at that, 56 minutes, almost an hour I've been talking. Crazy. It's women, they just don't understand. They really don't. Although, you know what, I gotta say, Andrew's pretty good at reeling me in, because she's like, maybe you should get a truck running first before you start another project, which, yeah, she's kind of right. Is it wrong to say that she's right? No, it's not. Because at the end of the day, you know, she's my number one fan, my number one helper. You know, if you got a good woman, you'd look after them, especially if they support your truck addiction. So anyways, guys, that's it for me. It's my Tech Talk Tuesday for Tuesday, all about smart switches and interlock diff lock switches. So anyways, take care. Thanks for watching. Love y'all in a non-gay kind of way. And I'm not going to explain that right now, because you know what? It's already been 57 minutes and I could find a reason to keep talking. Well, why am I still talking now? Okay, take care. Okay, I'm going. Got to go to work. Your stream will stop immediately and you will no longer be live. Oh, okay, I guess. See you later, guys. Take care. Have a great day.